Hi everybody, welcome. This is Rachel Kirkland here, the Modern Shaman, and I'm just giving you a little welcome. Thanks for being here for my Friday video. Every Friday I release a video here on the YouTube channel and we talk about all things metaphysical when it comes to shamans, when it comes to psychics, when it comes to communication in the non-physical realm. I am here and people send in their questions and we just talk about it and we discuss it. So if you're new to the channel, welcome, and make sure to subscribe and like and hit that little bell notification on the side of the channel so that you get notified every time I do a new video. I'm also teaching a lecture on January 6th and I'm going to be live streaming it here on the YouTube channel. For those of you guys that have been awesome, dedicated subscribers and tune in every Friday and watch these things and let me know how you appreciate them, I'm doing a lecture and I'm going to make it free and just stream it live on January 6th. It is Central Standard Time, I think from 2 to 3. So if you'll look on my YouTube channel, I have a little notification and highlight on that. You can always, again, ring the bell on there so that you get notified as that upcoming event is coming and we're getting ready for it. So join us for that as well. Okay, so let's get into the question for the day today. And it was a long question. She wrote a lot about her personal experiences with spirit. And then at the end of it, I just took this chunk to kind of go over in the question. And it says, my question is, do you have any suggestions on what I can do to get messages come through? I get all sorts of things in dreams, shapes, and numbers, but it's hard to know if I just made it up or not. What are your suggestions as to get clarification on these messages? Okay, so the topic for today's video is about when we're getting messages from spirit, how to help decipher those messages, how to know what's just you versus what is clear non-physical telepathic communication, and just differentiating the voices and the information. It's a good question and I get this a lot. So let's dive into that. Okay. I'm going to be very honest, okay? And I will say, and I'm not pitching my classes because I do teach psychic development. And whether it's with me or with some other teacher, I do believe you get to a point in your communication where it's very helpful to take a class on how to communicate psychically, learning about your psychic senses, learning about how to strengthen a sense of confidence in what you're getting, practicing languaging the imagery that you're seeing and what it's communicating to you. A lot of that, and just learning the basics of mediumship, the basics of who your spirit guides are, how you receive messages in terms of the 6 major psychic senses, and all of those types of basic information within psychic development. I teach psychic development classes, but whether you learn it from me or from someone else, I just feel like we all get to a point where we need a little more like baseline guidance, and a class can be incredibly helpful. I know for me, that's what I did. I had blocked my psychic gifts for many years, even though I always was getting communication. I was getting premonitions, I was getting dreams, I was getting clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient communication, but I didn't have a sense of like what it was. I didn't know that language. Like, that's clairaudience. I didn't know what the difference was of the voices. I didn't know who my guides were. I didn't have any sort of clarity. And I went to a psychic and she told me I should take a class. And so I said, where in the heck do you do that? I mean, who teaches classes on this? And she knew someone to do it, who was amazing and wonderful and very, heartfelt and sincere in her teaching. And so I started that way. And I think that's just good in terms of like wanting to know what is being communicated. It just helps give you clarity and a sense of confidence also. I think anytime you can get practice in languaging what you're seeing and the subtle nuances there, it's helpful. Okay, so there's my pitch on psychic development classes. They're important. This is why I teach them, because I feel like at any point you're gonna hit a level where you're like, I'm getting all this communication, but I don't know what to do with it. And you just need to learn a little bit of the basics of how you're receiving information and kind of get those foundations settled. That way you can build on it from there. All right. Okay, I also would suggest to you starting a kind of symbols journal or symbols dictionary for yourself, similar to a dream journal. And when I was a teenager, I started doing dream journaling, and I think that really helped me with a lot of the clairvoyant visions that I was getting, because I started paying attention to the layers and what was communicated in the layers. All right. Now, if you're clairvoyant and you get a lot of information through imagery, it can be overwhelming, or you sometimes don't know what part of it to decipher or how to kind of work through what you're seeing, right? So like right now, for instance, you're looking at this video, right? You're seeing all of this. You're seeing all the stuff behind me. You're seeing me. You're listening to me. You're picking up on my energy. You're getting a totality of a moment, but you're also getting details, all right? Now, if someone was to say to you, explain to me what happened in that video, explain what you saw, okay? Like if you got the image of this in a flash, a lot of times in our clairvoyant visions, we get outside of time flashes of information, right? So it may be a whole sequence of things, but it's outside of time, so you get it instantaneously, or you get it really quick. I just saw an orb fly through. But anyways, you get things like that. So practicing deciphering the symbols and what's important to you will help you kind of understand the imagery that you're getting. So when I started out with a dream journal or a symbols journal or an iconography journal, essentially I would note common imagery that I would see or things in a dream. If you're getting communication in a dream, I'm just using that example. But this can also be numbers, it can be signs and symbols, people's faces, whatever it is that you may get. And you just start kind of a list of like the item or the person or the number or the symbol, and then what your interpretation of what it felt like it meant to you, okay? And this is really important to do because they're speaking through your internal sense of history, your internal imagery. So what a bell means to you. They're utilizing, it's not a universal type of communication typically. They're using your internal cognition, your past life cocktail of a history, your upbringing, your religious iconography. They're utilizing a lot of what those mean to you because it's the fastest, most effective way of communicating. So learning what those mean to you, not from some book that's like, this symbol always means this. It may not mean that to you. So they may be talking and we try to get all kind of educational about it, like, well, if it's a bell, it always means wedding bells in a relationship. It doesn't. Bells to you may come off like a siren, like wow, wow, wow. This relationship is bad. It's like an alarm or something. So to pay attention to how those images, those numbers, those symbols communicate to you, and just to kind of start a list, like a dictionary, like that. Like let's go for the example of a bell. A bell to me feels like, at least in this dream or when I saw it this time, it felt like it meant a siren, wake up, alarm, warning, get my attention, okay? And then you may feel like a wedding ring or a circle to you when it comes up within a relational dynamic, like you see two people and then you see a circle or a wedding ring. That may feel like, okay, this is a good sense of union and unity here. So to pay attention to and keep note of how symbols, how imagery speaks to you is an important way to kind of learn your own internal communication that's going on. Because we're inundated with imagery, with numbers, with symbols, with the dream world and our dreamscape. And it takes time to actually learn how that's speaking to you, okay? And don't feel bad if you don't know what it means right away, okay? I have so many people say to me, I want to get the information like you. I want it to be so clear. It's like you're sitting with me and I'll be in a session with someone and they're like, and you see the images, you know what it means. You're like, boom, boom, they're saying this. And I'm like, this is taking, I mean, I do this for a living. I do this, 8 hours a day, every day, all day, on weekends. I teach classes. It's taken a long time to gain a languaging that's that efficient. It wasn't always that way. So don't think you're off track if you don't know right away what the imagery means. And sometimes, even though I've been doing this for so long, I'll still get a dream or see some imagery or be in a session and be like, what the heck? I have no clue what that means, because they're not giving a sense of layering on top of that that's telepathic communication, or that's through my clairaudient communication. So you have to dig through in terms of like, what does it mean? Also, some spirits on the other side are better at communicating than others, just like human beings, right? Some of us are better at communicating and we'll talk all day long, and others are very kind of standoffish and would rather communicate non-physically or communicate with their posture, or, there's a lot more to it in terms of the depth of communication than just languaging or just imagery. So don't beat yourself up if you don't know. I keep seeing orbs all over the place. I don't know if y'all are seeing them, but I'm seeing them in my peripheral, and I'm seeing them kind of in the room. This room is full of energy and spirits and love. Okay. Also, if you are starting a sense of journal to get your symbols clear for you and what they mean, I would encourage you to tune into also, if you're getting numbers, if you're getting geometric shapes or things that feel symbolic, I would tune into the emotional tone of the imagery, meaning did it feel fearful? Did it feel peaceful? Did it feel loving? Did it feel important? Did it feel like there was an emotional tone to the information? I would also tune into the spiritual tone of the information and make note of that. Did it feel like something you've known before? Was there a sense of reminder for you? Was there a sense of message in terms of your soul? Like, this isn't, sometimes people will get dreams or they'll get information and they won't know what it is, but they'll know it's important. Okay, that's a spiritual tone to it, of like, there's some information in here that I know that feels like it's really relevant for my soul or for my journey on this planet, my purpose, things like that. I would tune into that as well and just make note of that. It doesn't mean you have to understand the whole puzzle when you're given piece by piece by piece, but this is helpful in kind of understanding and getting better equipped of how to language what you're getting from the non-physical realm. And it does just take time. It does. I will say, when I first started doing this, there was a lot of, I don't know why, but this is what I'm getting, and I close my eyes during sessions, so I'd be closing my eyes and I don't know why, but I'm seeing this, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing this, and it takes time to figure out the why. That's another layer of telepathic communication that comes beyond just the imagery. There's that clear cognizance of the knowing of what it means, and that's a whole nother psychic sense. Now, they do overlap the more and more multidimensional you get in terms of your extrasensory perception. But I will say that takes time, that takes practice. Even saying it out loud, the verbalness of speaking it can trip people up at first, trying to speak what it is that they're saying at the same time when they're saying it, or at the same time when someone's asking questions. It's a whole dance and communication. And so don't be hard on yourself if you don't have it right away. It takes practice, even getting in a group and practice doing group readings, practice reading for friends, practice reading from cards. Cards are great triggers for imagery of, okay, looking at a card, and we practice this in my psychic development class. Reading cards intuitively. So pulling a card from the deck, noticing what it is in that oracle deck or that tarot card, whatever, any sort of card that has an intention of languaging and speaking and communicating to you. And then noticing the signs, the symbols, the colors. There's also, all sorts of emotional or reads on just auric colors, the field of the color, how the energy feels in that field. Does it feel very active? Is the energy coming at you from the card? Does it feel subtle and soft and diffused? Noticing all of those subtle dynamics within just looking at a card and feeling like what's popping out at you, what's standing out in that card, and then reading into the energy behind that imagery and practicing that. You can do that on your own, or you can do that in groups as well. That's helpful. I will also say you can always ask Spirit if you're getting messages and you mentioned in your email that you were seeing numbers, that you were seeing sacred geometry. You can always literally sit at a time similar to your meditation time with a journal, or just sitting in meditation and asking Spirit to give interpretation, to give guidance on how to receive this, and then notice small subtleties of how it feels important to you. Okay? Does the color stand out? Does the shape stand out? Does it feel like it ties in with something else? Or you can just go through and ask questions here. If you're feeling stuck, the journal is a good way to kind of get out of that, because you can ask very specific kind of yes or no questions, and you can tune into the feeling tone of the yes or the no response there. Okay, meaning if you feel like you loosen up, there's a sense of ease and flow to the yes, or there's a yes, there's an active energy to yes energy. No energy feels very stagnant and dense and like stopping. Okay, so you can tune into that as well. All of these things, again, I'm not pitching the class, but I think it would be good for you if you're already getting information from non-physical to take some sort of class in psychic development that kind of goes through the stages and ways you get information and how to strengthen those. Okay, and I will just tell you, practice and set the intention to continue on, to learn more, to want to interpret, and be okay with the wonder and the mystery too. Even if all these years that I've been doing this and doing it full time, I mean, all day, every day, and on the weekends at times when I'm working at events or teaching, even then, there's still things that feel like I'm in the wonder of Spirit, like, wow, I have no clue. That's even larger and broader and deeper than I've ever seen, than I've ever known, or imagery that I'm like, what is this thing? I have no idea. I've never seen this. So there's a constant kind of ebb and flow of being open to that and not having to logically, cognitively figure it out, and just trying to put the puzzle pieces together through all of your non-sensory communication, through your clairvoyance in terms of imagery, through your clairaudience in terms of asking, through your claircognizance in terms of like your knowing, your gut feeling about it, you know, your clairsentience in terms of your physical body, is it tightening up and tensing, and just all forms of non-physical communication that help you kind of puzzle piece together the information that you're getting. Because they overlap in multidimensional ways, a lot of your psychic senses will kind of help you understand the other information that you're getting when you utilize them all together. I love you, love you, love you. Mwah. We are heading into the Christmas holidays, so I hope you guys are having an awesome time with family, friends, and loved ones. And just know out there, again, you're not alone. Even if you're doing this holiday season on your own, you're never alone in terms of your spiritual connections. There's always those with you anytime you ask. Blessings.